So that's what the drivers think. But how much of a role will this new machine and the rule changes play this year? I know a man who can tell us, the ever eloquent Mr. James Allison. James, great to see you. Loving your work. Introduce us to this beast. What do we need to know?
Well, you'll know if you look, it doesn't take much more than a glance to see that it is an old friend in many ways.
Yep.
Same monocoque as last year, same gearbox as last year, lots of the same structure underneath as last year. But look a little closer and you'll also see there's some fairly significant differences. Just a glance at the side pod there and you'll see a rather sexy looking bulge in the engine cover,
Sweet.
which is hiding some of the work that our friends at HPP have done to squeeze more horses into that power unit for us for the year. And across the whole car, it is actually dressed in new clothes, new aerodynamic finery that we hope will make it a successful car. The bit we're not showing you...
What's going on here? You're covering something there.
The bit we're not showing you is down along the edge of the floor. That area is the area that was most affected by the new regulations, where they tried to pull performance away from the car by changing the floor regs. And down there, there's a bunch of aerodynamic detail that we are not quite ready to release to the world. Not because it's not there, but because we don't want our competitors to see it. We don't want them starting to try and put similar things in their wind tunnels. Just buys us a couple of weeks extra.
So essentially there's something so juicy under there, you're almost certain your competitors will steal that.
I think we all look very closely at what our competitors do. So we know our competitors will be looking and we don't have to show it yet, so we're not.
So what has been the main area of development, would you say? Because I know you said it's very similar to last season, but what is the absolute newest item on this car?
Well, I mean, if you leave the power unit out of it for the moment, because that's HPP's responsibility, but here in Brackley, the main area, of course, has been the aerodynamic development, because most of the sort of substructure of the car was carried over from the year before. So aerodynamic development to put as much downforce on the car as possible, but elsewhere on the car, developments to try to make it so that the bits underneath can live longer, so that we don't have to replace them so often, so that in a budget cap, we can operate more efficiently.
Okay. And how has it been putting this beast together during a global pandemic? Nightmarish?
No, not nightmarish. We are lucky in many ways here. Lucky, I guess, globally as a sport, because we did take, as a sport, some good decisions about how to handle the pandemic. And that's the reason why big chunks of this car are carried over for all the teams on the grid. That was a sensible choice in a year where we knew that the supply chain would be disrupted by COVID. But then we're lucky in a second way, which is we have good facilities here, we have good IT infrastructure that's allowed us to sort of spread out both to home and in the factory, and allowed us to keep functioning in a very different way of working, but we have been able to keep that workflow going and produce this car in a decent way.
What would you say to anybody who says that 2021 will just be a carryover from 2020 for Mercedes? They'll win. What do you say to those people?
Well, it's a touching degree of faith, but it's certainly not one that we feel here. We feel, I mean, utterly excited about everything that's in front of us, but equally anxious, because so much has changed in these regulations at a detailed level that do really punish the car from a performance point of view. Have we done enough to recover back that performance better than our competitors? None of us know, and yet we know we really care about it, and so the anxiety is quite high at this time of year.
Exciting times ahead, James. Always a pleasure talking to you, always educational. Thank you for your time. Let's bring in Toto Wolff for the final straight. Toto, it's the beginning of a new era for F1 with the budget cap. How important is that for the sport?
The budget cap is extremely important in my opinion, because the costs were escalating over the last 10, 15 years, and it became not sustainable anymore. And in that way, we are now operating in the same financial framework, and it becomes exciting because there will not be many differences in terms of spending between the teams. And we love the challenge. We have taken it on. It is at times very painful because all your processes need to be adapted in the end to achieve more efficiency. And we found out during the process that actually efficiency means performance. And the group that has worked around the project did a fantastic job. And I believe we're in a good position to extract the most of the limited resource that is available.
I spoke to Lewis and Valtteri earlier about maybe checking out the rival teams. I wonder what your mindset is. Is there a team out there right now that's giving you sleepless nights that you think maybe they've got the measure of us this year?
We respect every competitor, and I think there is a handful of teams that can do a good job this year and for sure next year. But at the end of the day, pre-season, the gossip that you hear around car performance or power unit performance is just noise. So if you want to get entertained by gossip, then you can listen to it, or you watch Love Island, a different way to entertain yourself. None of the two I entertain. But yeah, we qualify that as not important news.
Okay. Would you like to deliver a final word to the Mercedes fans who've joined us here today, who are watching at home right now?
You need to tell me the camera.
The crane, the jib,
the crane. Yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the live feed in whatever time zone you have been. I personally did. It's fantastic to come back and finally get going. The camaraderie and the excitement and energy that this place has is something that I have great pleasure in seeing. Having Lewis and Valtteri back in here and showing you the car is certainly a great way to start. Now, I hope she's fast. We will see in Bahrain at the first race, and we will do everything to make her faster during the season. So thank you for all of your support. We will hope you cheer for us, and we'll try to pay you back with some good entertainment. Thank you.
Nicely done, Toto. Thank you very, very much, James. Thank you again. Very best of luck this season, guys.